Welcome to Bedtime Whispers, where darkness comes to life and nightmares become reality. This story was told by an acquaintance who brought me a cat. The cat was given by an old friend of his, and the cat had been living with this friend for a long time. But for some reason, the friend could no longer keep it with him. That is why the animal needed a place to live. I just at that moment had both the desire and the opportunity to take a cat. So as a result, the cat, already quite elderly, but still strong and proud handsome, moved in with me. And an acquaintance, thoughtful and confused, told the story. He was sitting in the kitchen, fiddling with a cup of tea, stroking a cat on the table, and trying to speak out. He spoke confusingly. Confused, fantasized, recalled some irrelevant episodes, repeated and stammered, but he did not look drunk. I will give his story in some editing and in the first person. Some time ago, my friend, Kirill, name changed, had a disaster. His wife disappeared. She was supposed to visit him in the country where they had rented a small house for the summer, but she never made it. They were having relationship problems by this point, so they did not call each other much, communicated dryly, only as needed, and she hadn't promised to come on Friday night, July 8. She could have come on the weekend, but as it turned out by chance on Saturday, the 9th, about midday, she still left on Friday after work. Her mother called her for some reason, and her cell phone was unavailable. Her mother got worried, called her son-in-law, and he didn't even know about it. She didn't come. Kirill is generally retarded, but he thinks quickly in such cases. The police start looking for adults only 3 days after a report, and the count can go to minutes. It's been almost 24 hours since his wife disappeared. All in all, it looked very bad. That's why Kirill had to call in everyone he could. Well, someone gave him the contacts of some special private individuals who, like anyone, can find very quickly. The only thing was that they didn't work officially, and they were expensive. Kirill, of course, paid. He did not tell me how much and what he had to pay, and I, of course, did not ask him about it. But it was clear that really expensive, very expensive. However, it was worth it. They found his wife alive and unharmed. After another rift with her husband, she held a grudge, and instead of going to him, rushed to the corporate party, then to his girlfriend, and her cell phone either ran out of battery or just did not pick up there. In general, all ended well. Those privateers and brought her to her husband on Sunday, July 10, safe and sound. A happy ending. But then the strangest things began to happen. Kirill began to notice that his wife was something different. She seemed to be the same person. The same person. Who else? But she wasn't exactly the same. She looked a little different. Her habits had changed. Not fundamentally, but definitely. And so on. It was as if his wife hadn't come back then, but her twin sister, very similar, but still not her. and the vocabulary had changed, and tastes and character, interests, again, are different. Nothing starkly different, but still not the same. Not the same man, not the old one. I must say that I've known my comrade a long time, and well, I wouldn't listen to anyone else if he were to tell me such horror stories. But I trust Kirill. That is why I came to him at once. Especially since we had not seen each other for a long time. All, in fact, because of the cat. Handsome. The cat started throwing itself at Kirill's wife, and she was not surprised, just demanded that my friend finally gave him a cat, as promised her a long time ago. Kirill was surprised once again. He did not remember that the cat and his wife fought, and his promise to give the cat back to. I know what you're thinking about now. Those private detectives who used to return stolen cars back in the 90s. Right. Well, you go to that agency. They write down all the details of a stolen car, and then they bring you the same one. The signs match up to the smallest detail, and a certificate from the traffic police. Then the traffic police is included, but, of course, it's not your car anymore. It's not missing. The same theft, just, it turns out, under your personal order, plus fine-tuning, so that the description matches more precisely. Fast and true, though expensive, but still cheaper than buying another one. Many people agreed there was no chance of really getting a stolen one back. It had already been driven under different license plates or dismantled for parts for a long time. Kirill, as far as I understood, had the same idea. That's why he was said, "What can you do?" Nothing. But here's the interesting thing. He could not remember who gave him the contacts of those privateers who had found his wife. And he could not find out. However, he did keep the contacts. So when he was really in a pinch, he called the agency again. And then he went there again. It turned out to be a dry cleaners, and they had been sitting there for years. The detective agency with the same or similar name doesn't exist at all. It's not listed anywhere. I know my friend well, and for a long time, and I remember well how he and his wife fought over the cat, which did not recognize Kirill's wife and attacked her at every opportunity. Kirill loved the cat very much, but in the end he really promised his wife to put it somewhere. I remember well the building where the dry cleaners are. I can't speak for the agency, but the dry cleaners have really been there for years. Kirill never drank. He was always a stubborn teetotaler. But then suddenly he was addicted to dry red, almost a bottle a day. Maybe it was the stress of the misunderstanding with his wife. That would be the most natural explanation. But he became very good at this kind of wine, the kind of experience you don't build up in a couple of months. Again, Kirill doesn't recognize his own yard. He says there was no tree by the roadside, and the tree was at least 30 years old, always growing there. Kirill's wife is sure that on that Sunday, July 10th of this year, She came to her husband by herself. No one picked her up from anywhere or took her anywhere, although she did have problems with her cell phone that day. No one could get her on the phone, so everyone got scared. But I didn't notice any weirdness in my friend's wife. The way she was and still is, it seems. She looks and talks like she always does. Anyway, I think that agency does exist, but it works differently. Not like the guys who return stolen cars. They just move you to a place where all is well, where no misfortune ever happened. So you feel like everything around you is a little different. It really is different. Even though it's very similar, there are only two things that bother me, if you believe that. First, if the world to which you are moved exists, what happens to the one you were already in that world? Is he sent somewhere to, or does he just die? And if such a world doesn't exist, if it's specially made for clients, then who are we all? Are we just extras with fictional memories? More or less exactly recreated to meet the demands of Kirill from another reality, that Kirill who did not want to live in the universe in which he lost his dearest person. Thank you so much for your attention. Subscribe to the channel. See you soon.